morning. Good morning. Good morning. Great to see everyone today. A beautiful morning to celebrate one of the most important parts of our collection at Peoria Riverfront Museum. Incidentally, I'm Bill Conger, the chief curator at Peoria Riverfront Museum, and I welcome you to the Amethyst Gallery of Minerals, which was tirelessly put together by our staff, our team of installers, Zach Zetterberg, Harry Sidebotham, Danny Rohr, and more. Everybody involved at the curatorial team had something to do with this room, and it's exemplary, as you can see. The mineral collection is really an unsung hero of the Peoria Riverfront Museum collection. It is one of the first gifts of the mineral collection to the museum beginning in 1964. We also had many other minerals brought through in the early 2000s. Renae, our curator of science, will come up and talk about that later. But I just want to thank you for being here today and experiencing this amazing room, and would love to introduce probably one of the most important people at the museum right now, who is keeping our bow headed in the right direction, our chair of our board of directors, Mr. Todd Baker.
I'm a little nervous with that, this ship thing. I just hope I'm not the anchor. That's all I want to say. On behalf of the board of directors, thank you all for coming. What an amazing room. And right here we have amazing donors who made this possible. So thanks each and every one of you. I appreciate that. I just want to call out that while the curatorial staff and the staff here made the room look like it is, I absolutely know this is the dream of Renae. So everyone, let's give Renae, she'll be here in a minute, but let's give Renae a round of applause. So thank you, Renae. And it's gorgeous, and I was just commenting to Renae, it's a great ending to whatever is in our gallery over here to finish here and see something that's ours. And Renae assured me that this wall can move that way so we can get more. On behalf of the board, thank you for coming today. We're excited about this.
Thank you, Todd. When we think of Peoria Riverfront Museum, we of course think of the endless array of art, science, history, and achievement that we focus on. We think of our incredible staff, which has been mentioned a few times, but one person we need to keep in mind, and it's hard not to, is our fearless leader, the president and CEO of Peoria Riverfront Museum. Help me welcome John Morris.
Thank you. It's an exciting day. It's a purple day. It's a sparkling day. On behalf of the board of directors and the greatest staff of any museum, at the only multidisciplinary museum of its kind in America, this is a very cool occasion. People may remember on the 10th anniversary of the Peoria Riverfront Museum in October of 2022, we dedicated the Amethyst. So why are we back? We're back because the Amethyst has found a home in the Oberhelman Gallery. And it couldn't be a more perfect circle, because now with the anchoring what we call the Amethyst Gallery of Minerals, bringing from our permanent collection these incredible, Carrie Parshall of Greenwich, Connecticut donated these to the old Lakeview Museum. And we've had this amazing collection. We'll hear more from Renae Kerrigan. But to bring this in a little end cap to this beautiful Oberhelman Gallery, where we bring some of the biggest exhibitions, to be able to dedicate this intimate, beautiful, sparkling mineral space. The crew here painted it black, brought in this dramatic, you come around the corner, and it is really, really special. Gretchen Petrakis, chair of our development committee and a member of our collections committee, here with us today, was one of the first to come around when they were installing it, and the wow in her eyes. So this amethyst, like all great objects, has a story to it, and I want to tell just a little bit of that story. Bill Heydrich, who's a member of our foundation board and my top advisor and special advisor for years, has been giving me pearls of wisdom, amethyst of wisdom. And one of the things he said years ago was, John, if the staff could find a great mineral, there's nothing with more power to kind of enlighten and create a sense of awe with people than a great mineral. We didn't know what the mineral might be, but we searched and searched. Renae Kerrigan, our science curator, searched. We found quartz crystal geodes that were really beautiful, but they weren't right home to mom about it kind of examples. So finally, with the help of a guy named Jeff Nelson, who owns a business here in Peoria that deals the minerals to our store. You know, the minerals, the school kids on the Every Student Initiative program, Sally Snyder's with us, chair of the ESI, where they might buy with their pocket money to take home. These little samples come from this Nature Haven business. He was out in Tucson at the biggest gem and mineral show in the world. And this is in early 2022. And he called and said, are you still looking for a big, massive mineral to make an impression? We said, we are. I found this out back of one of the giant shows under a tarp is the biggest amethyst I've ever seen in my life. 10 feet tall, 1,900 pounds, incredible. So Renae, on a plane, Tucson, went out back in that warehouse. I'm not sure she wasn't maybe mildly concerned for her safety as they went back there and they pulled the tarp back, and lo and behold was the most magnificent thing. And so we called the family in Uruguay, and in a moment of negotiation, I'd never negotiated a price for a amethyst before in my life, and probably not since will I again, but we negotiated a museum price that was really a fair price for us. We had no money. And Bill Heydrich and the Oak River Foundation had put a kind of a challenge down. And sure enough, a week later, I'm having dinner, my wife Cindy and I, with Diane and Doug Oberhelman. And Doug said, what's going on at the museum? Both members of my President's Advisory Council, both key leaders for this museum since day one, literally the people who rode the yellow train up to dedicate the place. Doug said, what's going on at the museum? I pulled out my phone. I said, I had no idea whether there'd be any interest in this, but I said, look at this amethyst, 10 feet tall. We're looking at it. Doug, before I could finish, said, Uruguay. I said, how did you know? He said, early career Caterpillar, started in Uruguay, and they love the amethyst down there. It's everywhere. That is just spectacular. He said, what are you trying to do with it? I said, well, we'd like to acquire for the 10th anniversary of the museum. And he looked at Diane and he said, we're in. So we had the amethyst before the salad arrived. And I'll never forget it because it was a moment of crystallization. I've been waiting to use that, Sally Snyder, where the mission of the museum and the power and the possibility for us to get 18,000 school children a year, 165,000 visitors into this space, visitor experiences a year, where they were seeing something that was permanently ours that could just blow them away. So we have with us Bill Heydrich today and Doug and Diane Oberhelman, and we are so grateful for them and a number of other donors who kicked in from the board, Chairman Baker, and it's pretty cool that now we're anchoring this to expand the horizon. We're going to hear from Doug and Diane and Bill in a minute, but before we do, I'd like to bring up the curator who put all of this together and has worked so hard to help us begin the process of using our mineral collection. Help me welcome science curator Renae Kerrigan.
Thank you, John. And thank you, everyone, for being here today. Thank you for all of our guests tuning in online. It's my pleasure to help dedicate this space today. And I wanted to tell a little story of how it came to be. A little bit more backstory than what John provided. So back in 2010, I was an intern for the education department at Lakeview Museum of Arts and Sciences, the predecessor to this wonderful museum. I was tasked with writing labels for a new display on mineral crystal structure. We were using our mineral collection and Legos to build the crystalline structure of the minerals. At the time, I knew very little about minerals, but I learned a great deal from the project and absorbed enthusiasm and passion for these sparkling stones from our Director of Education at the time, Ann Schmidt. Since that time, I have loved learning about geology and deep time, thinking about how rocks and minerals form deep in the earth. And anyone who has the pleasure or pain of hiking with me gets to hear me say, "Ooh, look at that cool rock," about 16 times on the trail. This project of bringing the Peoria Riverfront Museum's mineral collection out of storage and into the spotlight has really been a passion project of mine. And I'm so pleased with how it turned out and the reception to it from our guests. I want to give another thank you to Harry Sidebotham and Danny Rohr, who helped bring my vision to life. I had this idea that I would love it if the minerals looked like they were floating on the wall, but I didn't know how he would achieve that. Harry designed the lighting and came up with the idea for the mounts, and Danny custom built all of the mounts for the minerals that are on the wall. So huge thank you to them. Let's give them another round of applause. The Peoria Riverfront Museum has a large collection of minerals, and even the ones that we have on display right now is not all of them. As Bill said, minerals were some of the first items accessioned into Lakeview Museum's collection back in 1965. Our collection grew substantially in 1999 when a mineral collector from Greenwich, Connecticut, and friends of former director of Lakeview Museum, who was named Jack Clark, donated a substantial portion of his collection of minerals to our museum. Many specimens from the Carrie A. Partial donation are out on display in this room now. And this collection, it had been in storage for a long time, and so at the urging of our museum supporter, Bill Heydrich, it was a special adventure for me to go to Tucson in 2022 to take a look at an amethyst tower that, as John indicated, we had learned was available. Amethyst miners from Uruguay had it at the Tucson sale, the largest mineral show in the world, and it didn't sell. So I was able to go take a look, and it was in a back of a warehouse in a slightly shady situation, but verify that the amethyst was indeed spectacular. And with the help of our supporters, Bill Heydrich, Doug and Diane Oberhelman, Maggie and Steve Jackson, Gretchen Hagen Petrakis, Sid Ruckriegel and Andrew Rand, Sally Snyder, and John Salch, we were able to bring it home to the Peoria Riverfront Museum, where it is in its permanent home now. So this amethyst is an anchor to our mineral collection and gave us momentum to create this new space for minerals at the museum. These beautiful stones, which have been in storage for many years, are now out and inspiring our visitors once again. The fun doesn't end. We have a lot of new programs coming up for this space. Just this weekend, we have a special program for members on Saturday in this Amethyst gallery of minerals. And then on Sunday, you can get special points in your achievement passport if you attend Access for All and come to some of the programming that we have coming up. Anytime you visit the museum, you might encounter a Spark Station, an interactive learning experience that allows you to engage with content in our exhibitions. You'll be able to maybe even take a little mineral home with you after you come to our mineral Spark Station. My internship and working on the mineral project back in 2010 sparked a lifelong love of minerals in me. And I hope that the Amethyst Gallery of Minerals will spark curiosity and learning for many visitors for years to come.
I don't think Renae has stopped smiling since we acquired the amethyst. It is, to the best of our knowledge, one of the 3 largest museum amethyst displays in the world. We know our friends at the American Museum of Natural History in New York are constant partners on these major exhibitions we bring in, has a 12-foot amethyst, and we're proud to kind of be in that league. So it is a pleasure to introduce 2 people, and they may speak together or one at a time, you can decide. But Doug and Diane Oberhelman are just essential partners, major supporters. We are in a gallery named for them because of their substantial personal commitment to the museum when we opened, and no doubt everybody remembers the substantial corporate commitment that Doug led, one of the largest corporate commitments in the history of any private museum in the country, when Caterpillar, celebrating their 100th anniversary this year, made what I consider to be its most important cultural philanthropic contribution in the history of the company by helping us get the party started at this museum. So please help me welcome Doug Oberhelman and Diane Oberhelman, Amethyst people.
Well, Doug and I are absolutely thrilled and ecstatic to be here, and our family that contributed as well. And really congratulate John, Renae, and the museum staff, Todd, and of course love partnering with Bill always, and the other donors, Sally and others. It was really turned out to be a wow, sparkle plenty room. This is, Doug and I said it's the most amazing collection, and really the setup, Renae, that you and the team did is just phenomenal. We've seen a lot of museums around the country. I think this is one of the most spectacular, special ones for people to come visit, learn about minerals, and we're just very proud to be a part of this, and our family, Al and Laura, are here today. And thank you so much, and thank you for your leadership, John and Renae and Sally and others for bringing this forth, because it really, and thank you, Bill, for all the education, because without that, these might have remained in storage. We wouldn't have had that quick request from John at the Fish House, which I have to say, we had no choice but to say yes, but we said yes before the full request was out. So,
Turned out to be an expensive dinner.
you know, John, you can't say no. He does the best at raising money, and thank you again. So congratulations to all the staff, the donors, and I think this is just going to be a wow exhibit, the Amethyst Mineral Room for all to come see. So congratulations to all of you, and we're proud to be a part of it. Thank you, darling.
Yeah, this is definitely a wow. I thought it was a wow across the way when it arrived, and I'm always amazed when I see it. But this room, Renae and everybody and the team you described really did the job, and this is something to be extremely proud of. I'm glad it's also focusing on the other stones that were here that probably nobody knew about, and that just fits in perfectly as well. We're very proud of this. Every time I see this, I think about my experience, and I'll take just a couple minutes in Uruguay. My first foreign assignment, 1981, I was 28 years old. I was the only living Caterpillar person in Uruguay. My boss was here in Peoria, 6,000 miles away. Telephones were a 24-hour wait, no fax machine, no anything, no television, no nothing. And my job was to go down there and sort out the aftermath of a huge depression in Argentina, Paraguay, Chile, southern cone of South America. My primary function was to repossess Cat machines in places like Artigas, which is a regional capital in the middle of nowhere in Uruguay, smallest country by population of South America. But it etched in me so many lessons of business and life, because I watched countries go bankrupt, families go bankrupt, all kinds of revolutionary and evolutionary change. It was the time of military control of Argentina, the famous, infamous disappeared peoples that were always taken off the street corners, and the Ford Falcon would pull up and they'd put them in the back seat, and I watched one of those one time, didn't know what it was. Thousands of them were dropped into the ocean by helicopter. So it was a really momentous time in South America, and I would say career building and career forming for me on so many lessons that I applied over the next 30 years around the world, and it was really helpful. But anytime you land in Montevideo, or for that matter, any town in Uruguay, the first thing you see are thousands, millions of these things. They make them into trinkets, clocks, picture frames, you name it. And they're everywhere, and every store has a huge display of them. And I always remembered that. Every time I went, I had a huge collection in my house, because you'd give them away as little gifts to people, and they were very nice. And they were not always purple, but some were. But it was really a nice memory for me of my time and all the memories I had of Uruguay and my time in South America for 3 years. And when this opportunity came up, and John mentioned it, we both just jumped on. Diane has been to Uruguay several times with me subsequently. And she saw all that down there, and it's just a perfect match for what we wanted to do. And so we couldn't help but say, yeah, we're in a big way, because this is just perfect for us. And we're so proud of this museum, and overall, we'll never forget the train ride in when we dedicated this back in 2012. What a memory that was that morning for the visitor center and the museum. Something we will never, ever forget, and we're so proud and pleased with what you're all doing here, what's happened to the museum since, and the impact that it's had on the community. I don't think any of us thought in 2012 what could happen here, and it's happening. So we really appreciate all the efforts by everybody to make this really the centerpiece of the community and in a bigger way, the region. And I think that's something to be very proud of for the Peoria Riverfront Museum and all of our constituents around. So thank you very much. We're extremely proud of this gallery, and we're extremely proud of the museum as well, and well done to you all. Thank you.
Thank you, Doug. Thanks for sharing the story I told Diane earlier, that the sparkle of this gallery is metaphorical for your constant energy over the years, your leadership in the community. Objects tell stories. I have found in my 8 years as the director of this museum that often those stories are not the stories that you think explicitly they tell. So this story for me, I was telling Doug earlier, when I see this amethyst, I not only appreciate its natural history and the power of the quartz crystal and the millions of years to form and the iron content and all the stuff that Renae teaches me, but I think of you, Doug, and I think of how a 28-year-old kid started at the bottom of the world and ended up at the top of the world as the leader, one of the greatest manufacturers in the history of America. And the amethyst kind of takes on both stories. So we appreciate both of you. Now,
Thank you, John. We used to always say that's not the end of the world down there, but you could see the end of the world.
it's not the end of the world, but you can see the end of the world, Uruguay. So to close us out today is a dear friend to all of us here at the museum, member of our foundation board, somebody whose family helped Lakeview Museum get started, Sally Snyder, whose family was a part of that as well. We remember the Heydrich family, who as a young boy was involved in 1965 on the 60-year anniversary this year of Lakeview Museum, and somebody who has been constantly by our side, advising the curatorial staff, the development staff, the content staff, and especially me, who opened up our relationship with Alice Walton's Art Bridges, and who give us great ideas from the porcelain Sev plate to this amethyst. So please help me welcome James Smithson Award recipient, foundation board member, and guest curator Bill Heydrich.
Thank you, John. It's great to be here. And for those of you that don't know, Sally and I are cousins. So it's actually one big happy family that's been involved with this institution and its predecessors for quite a while. A couple of comments about being involved with this institution. It's very easy to have ideas about what another person should do or what an institution should do, but it's quite another thing to find an institution where those ideas get executed and executed so well. I was not teasing John when I said, if you're not going to use the mineral collection, sell it. I didn't think he'd want to, but I said, what we really need to do is find that singular object which will give presence, gravitas, if you will, to the collection so that people will be attracted to it and that we can use it going on into the future. Little background, I was involved with Lakeview when Jack Clark was director and met Carrie Parshall. Jack, some of you may remember, was, I think, an amateur geologist. He loved rocks, he loved minerals. Something you all may not know, Jack did come here from the Bruce Museum in Greenwich, Connecticut. Wonderful little museum which has just undergone a dramatic addition and complete redo. Featured in that museum is an important collection of minerals, almost entirely given by another collector. My hunch is that Carrie Partial, being friendly with Jack back in the day, realized that this other collection was going to go to the Bruce, and the prospect of starting a collection somewhere else that would be in the public domain permanently was attractive to him. In fact, for those of you that remember the Cottomans and the Glicks, we had several laughs as this collection was coming in, because Norm was always a little bit skeptical of some of the things the museum was doing, but he was always willing to participate and share. And actually, Merle and I bought, along with the Cottomans, a piece, I don't know if it's on view, in honor of Carrie Partial. What I wanted to, the reason for bringing that all up is, and we know that John is not competitive, but the installation here is more beautiful than the one just installed at the Bruce Museum in Greenwich, Connecticut, which highlights and features another collector who would have been a friend but also a little bit of a competitor of Carrie Partial. And I'm sure if Carrie was with us today, he would be enormously proud to see this really beautiful display. And I think it's a great testament to this staff in their ability to follow through and execute on ideas, suggestions, plans, and to seize opportunities as they come along. I had suggested to John, find the singular piece, which is you're going to have all the sex appeal to draw people in. And I really think that the staff did an extraordinary job finding this and then now installing all of this. And then one last comment. I think we've talked a little bit about supporting the acquisition of this. I think it's one of the only things John's ever acquired or spent money on when he really did not have to try to raise money for it. It's a really great thing. Anyway, thank you all for being here and celebrating with us this great moment when we sort of re-celebrate the acquisition of the Amethyst, but more importantly, the dedication of this gallery to celebrate this wonderful collection at the Peoria Riverfront Museum.
So if we could get the donors back up here. Mr. Chairman, come back up here with us. And as a final note, just come stand around in front of the Amethyst. It's an honor for me on behalf of the board, Sally Snyder and Gretchen Petrakis also with us, to formally dedicate the Amethyst Gallery of Minerals here in the Oberhelman Gallery at the Peoria Riverfront Museum. May it inspire many, many thousands of people for years to come. So the Amethyst Gallery is dedicated. Thank you. Thank you.